Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, I'm going to be talking about Sergei Bobrovsky and him getting benched over locker room drama. Now Sergei Bobrovsky will be absent for the game versus Nashville later today, so what does this actually mean and how does it affect both Bobrovsky's future and Columbus's future? Now, the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to face the Nashville Predators later today, and that was a game that Sergei Bobrovsky was going to start. With the newfound Bobrovsky and GM Jarmo Kekalainen situation, we're now left questioning Bobrovsky's future with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, the GM of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen, came out with some juicy quotes today talking about Sergei Bobrovsky and why he's going to be benched later today. Now, he said, quote, that there are certain expectations and values that we have established for our players that define our culture. An incident occurred in which Sergei failed to meet those expectations and values, so he made the decision that he would not be with the team for tonight's game. This is an internal matter, and we have no further comment at this time. Now, we still don't know what Bobrovsky actually did in the locker room to warrant being benched for this kind of a game. A game against Nashville is usually a pretty big one, and I would assume that Sergei Bobrovsky was going to start that game if he wasn't benched by the GM. But because of that, we still don't know what actually happened in there. We just get ominous things like, oh, he just violated the code of the team and stuff like that, but we don't get an actual word on what he actually did. Now, while we don't know what Sergei Bobrovsky actually did, for him to be warranted to bench a game versus Nashville, he obviously did something bad. So, while Jarmo Kekalainen, we know, doesn't have the best relationship with Sergei Bobrovsky, I wouldn't see him benching Bobrovsky against the Nashville Predators on purpose. Bobrovsky being one of the best goaltenders in the world, it would be pretty weird to bench him on purpose against a team like Nashville. So, while we don't know what Bobrovsky did, it was obviously something pretty bad. Now, for me personally, my guess would have to be that it involves John Tortorella. Of course, we know John Tortorella, he's a funny character, he has a bright personality, he's a very colorful guy, but when it comes to the locker room, he's not really enjoyed by a lot of the players. And Sergei Bobrovsky, we know, has had an interesting relationship with Tortorella over the years, and with the current situation, Bobrovsky has 1 year left in his deal. The Columbus Blue Jackets are kind of in a weird place, and the situation with Panarin and Bobrovsky are both looming, and I feel like it came down to Tortorella and Bobrovsky maybe going in a little bit of a fight, maybe going in a little bit of disagreement, and maybe Jarmo Kekalainen had something to do with it, and maybe put an end to that. With the Columbus Blue Jackets, they're kind of in a vulnerable position right now. Of course, with Bobrovsky and Panarin, both of their contracts are up at the end of the season. Jarmo Kekalainen has a lot on his plate right now. He has a lot to worry about, and with Bobrovsky, he obviously is not happy with the situation on the team, with the coach, and right now I think Kekalainen is just setting an example for what Bobrovsky should be if they were to re-sign him. And with Jarmo Kekalainen, he definitely is balancing on a thin line here. I mean, with Sergei Bobrovsky, we obviously know he is not in a good place right now. He does not want to be with the Columbus Blue Jackets, at least at this point, and he's obviously angry with the coach and the team itself. The last thing you want to do is to make the bee's nest mad, and with Sergei Bobrovsky, we know that he is not really content with the Columbus Blue Jackets right now, and that's Jarmo Kekalainen's job to fix. That's the GM's job, I think, is to fix the players' mindsets and to get them accustomed and happy with the team. But right now, suspending him for a game I'm not sure if that's going to teach him a lot, especially with Sergei Bobrovsky, who is 30 years old and already, I would say, premature. But if this news really is about Sergei Bobrovsky going out on Coach John Tortorella, that will be a huge story on its own. But with John Tortorella, we know that he's not the best when it comes to handling players. We've seen that over the past few years, especially with the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's been quite a few players that have been disgruntled and have wanted out of the team because of John Tortorella. And it seems like with this situation with Bobrovsky, it is the exact same situation. I feel like this situation has to do with the management in general, whether it be Tortorella or Kekalainen. I feel like this is Sergei Bobrovsky just lashing out and just expressing his frustrations to people. While I don't know the whole situation, we still don't have a lot of the details. When it comes to saying the culture and having Sergei Bobrovsky break that culture and the values, I feel like Sergei Bobrovsky just had a disagreement and might have gone just a little bit too far with, again, either Kekalainen or Tortorella. Now with Sergei Bobrovsky, his season has not gone as planned so far. While the Columbus Blue Jackets are still a pretty decent team, it has not been because of the goaltending, and Sergei Bobrovsky has not had one of his better years. So far, he's played 32 games this season, has had a 2.87 goals against average with a .906 save percentage. Definitely not the greatest stats in the world. Those are pretty much backup goalie numbers. When you're talking about Sergei Bobrovsky, who could be arguably the best goaltender in the world right now, those stats are pretty terrible. And for a team that still has a very solid defensive core, Bobrovsky has not really been playing as deserved or as expected, and that's obviously been bleeding into his mood, his expectations of the team, and of course, with 1 year left, Sergei Bobrovsky is obviously not in the greatest state of mind. And with Sergei Bobrovsky, he is definitely in a tough situation right now. Again, with 1 year left on his deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets, we know that the Blue Jackets have been shopping him and have been open to trading Sergei Bobrovsky this season, and that's been rumored in past months. And with the whole Blue Jacket situation, we know Sergei Bobrovsky is not happy with it. He would rather be in another team, and that speaks volumes for a team that wants to get 10 for the playoffs and wants to get far in the playoffs. But Sergei Bobrovsky is going to likely have to be the guy if Columbus wants to get that far. But with Sergei Bobrovsky, he doesn't really feel like he wants to be on the team anymore, and that's a big problem for the Columbus Blue Jackets and Sergei Bobrovsky. And we already knew that Bobrovsky's relationship and situation with Columbus was getting pretty sour, but with this whole situation and this whole dispute, the salt in the wound with Bobrovsky and the Columbus Blue Jackets has been put on maximum overdrive. And right now, of course, the drama with Bobrovsky having to sit out a game because of this whole situation is just going to be magnified when it comes to trade rumors and speculation on where he might go next year, because let's face it, with 1 year left, Bobrovsky isn't really happy with his current team, and most signs point to him leaving in the offseason. And while Bobrovsky might be going somewhere else in the offseason, the Blue Jackets might just bite the bullet and end up trading him at the trade deadline, which will be in a month and a half. So when it comes to Bobrovsky's current situation, he's not happy being with Columbus Blue Jackets. He's not happy with the Blue Jackets management. And the Blue Jackets management has a choice on either letting him go in the offseason and keeping him for the playoff run, or trading him for future assets. And that's something that Kekalainen might not be patient for. While the Metro Division is not one of the strongest divisions in the world, the Atlantic Division is very, very lethal. So for the Columbus Blue Jackets, it's going to take a lot for them to get past that Eastern Conference. If they want to go far in the playoffs, they're going to have to beat some great teams. And with that, Bobrovsky is likely going to have to be on that team if Columbus wants to get anywhere. But if Columbus wants to have a good future and to continue the winning ways going, they're likely going to want to trade Bobrovsky for future assets to continue the winning seasons. So for Jarmo Kekalainen, I can understand the stress that he's going through, because with this situation with Sergei Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin, it's not going to be an easy decision to make. Whether you keep him or trade him, it's not going to be an easy one to make, and we've already seen that happen with all these rumors spreading around. They're still on the team at this point, and it's only a matter of time before we see some news coming out about what Artemi Panarin and Bobrovsky actually want to do. But this kind of locker room dispute between the GM and the players never seemed to really turn out well, at least most of the time. And with the Sergei Bobrovsky situation, it is one that's going to loom over Sergei Bobrovsky and the Columbus Blue Jackets for the next few weeks. And of course, leading up to the trade deadline, there's going to be a lot of speculation on what actually happens with Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky. And of course, the spotlight is going to be on Sergei Bobrovsky at the trade deadline and throughout the offseason if Columbus actually ends up keeping him. Now, we just got some news that John Tortorella will not comment on this situation, but he did say that Bobrovsky will practice with the team on Friday, so that means that this relationship is still going with the Columbus Blue Jackets and Sergei Bobrovsky. It isn't totally over. With this suspension or benching, it's only going to be for this one game, it looks like, versus the Nashville Predators, so while he might get traded or he might not, this doesn't look like a long-term drama situation. And with Sergei Bobrovsky and the Columbus Blue Jackets, it's going to be a really interesting story to watch out for heading up to the trade deadline on February 25th. And with Sergei Bobrovsky, while I'm not sure if he will get traded, if the drama keeps coming out like this and we see more outlashes, we see more lashes by Sergei Bobrovsky coming out, and we see more drama coming out in the next month and a half, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Sergei Bobrovsky gone on February 25th. But again, this locker room drama only adds fuel to the fire on a fire that was already very, very big with Sergei Bobrovsky, Artemi Panarin, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So again, it is going to be a very interesting story to watch out for over the next few weeks. And with Sergei Bobrovsky, it's going to be interesting to see how he ends up playing when he actually does end up playing. And of course, with Jarmo Kekalainen, how he actually manages this going forward. But with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about this situation with Sergei Bobrovsky? What do you think this incident was? And of course, what do you think about the future of Sergei Bobrovsky and the Columbus Blue Jackets? But if you guys want some more Grav videos, you can watch this video where I talk about the newly revealed NHL All-Star Game jerseys. But that is going for it, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on this situation and, of course, what actually happened. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.